the interested parties in things to do with internet governance, whether you're from the technical community, from government, not governance, from government, from civil society, from academia, or from any combination of those, this is a place, a safe space, a respectful place for us to share and interact with our ideas, to listen, to learn, and to hopefully come forward with some fresh thinking and a pathway, perhaps, if not a full-blown plan, for what we might all want to do to protect how our voices, mutual, individual, and hopefully collective, and dare I say, even collaboratively in agreement sometimes, with things to do with our internet. It is a huge array of potential topics, and we do realise that we will not be able to get through everything. There's a couple of housekeeping things that I want to draw your attention to, and the first and possibly most important for some of you, we can have the next slide please, is surprisingly enough, the log on for the Wi-Fi. So I'm not pushing a clicker, so someone better make the magic happen up the other end. The Wi-Fi will come up eventually and I will continue talking. With the additional housekeeping that I'm going to cover for you today, we have, all right, perhaps I'm going to go, oh, they have come along, people. Wi-Fi was next. Right, people, look on the back of your tags. On the back of your tags is the Wi-Fi. Log in, enjoy. Right, there we are, Wi-Fi. Intuitively surprising enough, Brisbane 2023. Now we can go to a very important slide, and that is the recognition of our incredibly important sponsors. It is literally impossible to feed you all, to water you all, to have you housed in these rooms in this building without the generosity of our sponsors. And to that end, I would like to thank on your behalf these very generous folk. We have obviously the APNIC Foundation, Internet Governance Forum, that's the Global Internet Governance Forum, in case you're confused, AuDA, our Australian Domain Name Administration, the Internet Society Foundation, the Reliable, who is giving particular assistance for our disability fellows here today, NetThing 2023, which ran yesterday, and we would like to recognise two of our very important sponsors, Identity Digital and of course VeriSign, who have sponsored us so we can help sponsor this event, APNIC and the Australian Department of Many Names. Our media department is the communications. So look, it's come up with a short one, please, and it's just too long. I'll be 5 minutes more into it all. Let's have a look at some of the safety and important things that those of you on site need to know. There's a map. I think you've got one on the back of your badge. I don't know if you haven't, you've got one in the app. Please note the bathrooms are literally across the plaza. There's a little diamond triangle shape of glass. Go either side, you'll end up in the facilities. Smoking, this is a non-smoking, and I would remind you also non-vaping venue. Please don't indulge. Emergencies, in the event of an emergency, please follow the instructions of the Brisbane Convention and Exhibition Centre staff. And if you have a security or a medical concern, there is a number there for you to call or dial 8 on any of the phones, one of which is in each of the rooms you will be meeting in. If you have a complaint or a concern, you might remember I started talking about respectful conversation, about listening, about sharing. If you are concerned, if you feel offended, if you feel there is something that is complaint worthy, we do have a few folk, myself included, who have a really tiny blue line that says complaints. Doesn't mean that I have them, although, but rather that I am willing to receive them and help you navigate through to a solution if there is a matter of concern. So we do have something in plan. Next slide, please. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be focusing on emerging technologies. Is Asia Pacific ready for the next phase of the internet? But before we get to that, I want to do something what I would like to consider extremely important. Oh, first of all, this is probably almost as important. Coffee will be served outside of the room in the breaks, as will your lunch. Within Australia, there are many, many, many traditionally owned lands. And I would like to, with great respect and recognition, note the elders, past, present and emerging, on the many lands that we meet on today, both here in Brisbane and around the country. In particular, I'd also like to extend my respect, and that I would like to think your respect, to any other First Nations person joining us from wherever they are joining us today. One of the most important things which you'll hear about that occurs in Australia is a welcome to country. And with this, I would very much like to ask Thomas from the Yuggera Turrbal people, who are the traditional owners of this area, and he'll tell you all about that, to come to stage and give us, and hopefully me included, a welcome to this country. Over to you.
Yada, hello and welcome. I've been invited out here as a descendant of the Yuggera language speaking nation to do the welcome to country. But before I go into the welcome to country, I'd just like to take a moment to introduce myself. For those who don't know me, my name is Bundamba Ya. It's a Yuggera language name that was given to me from the elders and translated from Yuggera to English. It means battle axe belonging to Ya or Ja. I'm also known as Thomas of the Coghill family and Thomas of the Bonner family, and I'm a descendant of the Yuggera language speaking nation. I'm a descendant of the Yuggera language speaking nation through two separate family lineages that belong to clans of the Yuggera people. On my father's side, we can trace our ancestry back to Grandfather Maltuggera. Grandfather Maltuggera was a recorded patriarch in the early 1800s, and his stomping grounds of where he was from were the plains from Ipswich out to the foothills of Toowoomba and Warwick, such as Laidley, Gatton, Halidon, and Rosewood. Grandfather Maltuggera was recorded to lead the battle that took place there at Mount Tabletop against the early convict settlers, and that battle was recorded to be fought with spears, guns, and boulders being rolled down that mountain. Excuse me, sorry. One of Grandfather Maltuggera's direct descendants is my great-grandfather, the late Senator Neville Bonner. Granddad was the first Aboriginal senator of Australia, and he identified as a Yuggera man belonging to the Western clans of the Yuggera language-speaking nation. When my dad speaks about Granddad, he says Granddad was born in the traditional fashion on a traditional birthing grounds, which was an island located on the Tweed River, and it was shared by Kumbameri, Yugambeh, and essentially Bundjalung people. Dad also said that Granddad was the lead rower when they went out to hunt turtle and dugong out in the bay, indicating he was still practicing his ancient traditions and also developing his leadership skills as a lead rower. On my mother's side, we can trace our ancestry back to Grandfather Mukken. Grandfather Mukken was also a patriarch recorded in the 1800s. He was a full blood born of this region, and when he became a man, he was initiated a Yuggera man. Grandfather Mukken was also selected to be the message stick carrier for the Yuggera people. And for those who don't know what a message stick carrier is, it is one that plays a fundamental role between our relationships with our neighboring language speaking nations. Our people were governed by a permission system, meaning we couldn't just travel freely into another Murray's country without first seeking permission, and that permission being granted. You could be speared on site, and these message stick carriers, they were exempt of that law. Grandfather Mukken being a message stick carrier, he was recorded to speak at least 15 different Aboriginal languages throughout the Southeast Corridor. And because of his status within his community, the authorities at that time made Grandfather Mukken the first official mayor of Baramba. Baramba is commonly known today as Cherbourg, and it's an Aboriginal community located northwest of Ipswich. When Grandfather Mukken became the first official mayor of Baramba, the authorities at that time changed his name from Mukken to Charlie of Morton, and later on Charlie Morton. You see, prior to the 1920s, this region that we gather today was known as the Morton region. It wasn't until 1924 that they changed the name of the CBD, or Central Business District, into what we know now as Brisbane City. That's what qualifies me to speak on country as my blood lineages. What is a welcome to country? Well, prior to settlement, we had a number of festivals throughout this region. Two that spring to mind is the Mullet Festival, or Undercull Festival, held on North Stradbroke Island, Manduraba, and a more well-known festival, which was the Bunya Nut Festival, hosted by the Cubby Cubby or Gubby Gubby people of the Glasshouse Mountain region. These festivals were invitation only, meaning that the host nation would send forth their message stick carrier with the invitations. The invitations would extend beyond Yuggera country. In fact, you have to travel through Yuggera country to attend these two festivals. Those who were invited beyond Yuggera country would send forth their message stick carrier seeking permission to travel safely. We'll grant them permission and we'll conduct our welcome to country ceremony, which is basically laying down the laws of the land, which animals not to hunt related to our totem systems and also our sacred sites to steer clear of them. Then we'll call out to our spirit to guide, our ancestor spirits to guide those who are traveling through Yuggera country. Then we'll immediately follow it through with the smoking ceremony, which we call Chumo Dalo. Smoking ceremony to us in its essence is a spiritual cleansing ceremony. It's to cleanse the area and the people of a particular spirit called Mugai, which is a negative spirit, and to invite the good spirit or the good Nuru to come and join us. The country that I'm welcoming you to is Yuggera country or Yuggera. Yuggera, it extends from the mouth of the Brisbane River. We know it as Mayua. It has two central locations of gathering points. On the north banks of the river, where Botanical Gardens and Queensland Parliament House is located, is known as Meanjin. Meanjin means the spike of the spear or the tip of the spear. Our second location of gathering point is where we gather today. It's known as Karilpa. Karilpa means the place of the water rat or water rat belonging to, and essentially is South Bank itself, going from the Kangaroo Point Cliffs down to Davies Park at West End. And we still gather here at least once a year to celebrate our annual NAIDOC festivities and also to conduct serious sorry business, which is elders who have passed on from this region. We follow the Brisbane River, Mayua, as it meanders its way through the suburbs west of the city. It'll enter into the Wivenhoe, and from the Wivenhoe, the Bremer River will begin its journey southwest, leading into Ipswich, and in the plains from Ipswich out to the foothills of Toowoomba and Warwick will reach our western border. Our southern border is the Logan River itself, which begins at Bow Desert, travels through parts of Logan. Logan's traditional Aboriginal name is Birranbar. It's a Yuggera language name for dwelling place of the south or southern dwelling place. We follow Logan River out to the bay, Moreton Bay. In our language, we call it Quanda Muka. Quanda Muka means the dolphin storm. Quanda is the ancestor dolphin, and Muka, which derives from the word Mugara, meaning severe thunderstorm. That's our eastern border. Our northern border is the Caboolture River, Kabul meaning carpet snake, and Cha or Ba meaning belonging to. We have the Turrbal Andambi connection, and these are northern clans that are recorded to speak the Yuggera language. Turrbal for Brisbane City leading up to Pine Rivers and Deception Bay, and from there, the Andambi clan is transitioning into Kabi Kabi or Gubbi Gubbi people. That is the full extent of Yuggera country. Yuggera would like to acknowledge our neighboring language speaking nations. To the north of the Caboolture River is the Kabi Kabi or Gubbi Gubbi people. To the west of the Toowoomba Range is the Waka Waka people. To the south of the Logan River is the Yugambeh people. And to the east of the bay, Quandamuka is the Jandai or Jandawal people. Yuggera would like to also acknowledge our Torres Strait Islander community here living on Yuggera, and also our South Sea Islander community here living on Yuggera, who Yuggera have established a connection to and maintained over the generations. All that being said, I'd like to welcome you on behalf of my family lineages, the Mortons and the Bonners, and on behalf of the Yuggera language-speaking nation with their family lineages and their clans. And I'd like to welcome you in the old Yuggera tongue, which is Yera Namble Ganare Badara Nanea Yuggera Nur, which means hello and welcome to Yuggera country. I welcome you and also the good spirit. To make you feel welcome here, I'd like to play this instrument in front of me. Throughout Australia and the world, it is known as didgeridoo. To the Yuggera people and our surrounding clans, we call this instrument Brida Mandu. It does not originate from this area. Where we believe the origin of this instrument comes from is the Yurikala people located in East Arnhem Land in the Darwin region, and they call this instrument Yadaki or Yidaki. How we got this instrument is through the ancient trade routes of the East Coast, and we traded the fire sticks, which we call Dalo, that we believe originated from North Stradbroke Island. When we received this instrument, we also received the law of this instrument, and the law of this instrument is that it is strictly a men's instrument and a men's instrument only. Women are forbidden to play this instrument or even touch this instrument. Also saying that women in this region have their own instrument, which is a gumpi or a possum skin drum that they'll stretch over their legs and play to the rhythm of the song and dance. Men are forbidden to play that instrument or even touch that instrument. Ladies and gentlemen, didgeridoo, to make you feel welcome on Yuggera country, or in my language, Brida Amandu. Thank you, sorry. Thank you. On behalf of the Yuggera language speaking nation with their family lineages and their clans, I'd like to thank you for inviting me out here. And on behalf of the Tribal Experiences, our company that represents Yuggera and Turrbal people, the knowledge that I've shared with you today comes from Grandfather Mukun. Grandfather Mukun was the last message stick carrier of the Yuggera people. He played a very fundamental role between our relationships with our neighboring language speaking nations. Anything to interaction that goes on between our neighboring language speaking nations go directly through those message stick carriers. And these Grandfather Mukun was the last one. Thank you for allowing me to come here and share some of that knowledge about the Yuggera people and their surrounding clans. And also, I hope you've learned something about Yuggera and its people. Yuggera, welcome to Yuggera country. Thank you.
Wow. I feel welcome. I feel exhilarated. I feel ready to learn and to talk. But we have boring administration stuff to do first. Oh, sorry, we don't. We actually have very exciting, Anju, come on up. We have the chair of APRIGF with our opening remarks.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome from the First Nations peoples. Honestly, what you said in terms of relationship is what we want in this forum. So thank you so much for that. I hope that today and this whole week, we can create meaningful relationships, meaningful partnerships. Good morning to everyone, particularly to our persons with disability, youths, next generation leaders. Where are you? Leaders, where are you? Next generation leaders. Wake up, wake up. Our women, a lot of the partners and stakeholders that have joined from Asia and the Pacific, and I've also been told that people are joining all the way from the US. Thank you again for joining today. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of meeting some really amazing people. And it makes a big difference to see people who are passionate about making a difference in internet governance, particularly from people who are coming from their countries, from their regions. These are champions, the local champions that have been working hard. So again, thank you very much for being here. I also had the pleasure of meeting the CEO of AuDA. She actually explained how to actually pronounce the name AuDA. That means inclusive, and I really, really love that. Thank you, Rosemary, Sinclair, Jordan, your team. Thank you so much for everything. Many of us are grappling with a lot of the challenges, particularly people who are not here, the voices that are left behind today. When we are thinking about any of the sessions that we do in terms of emerging technologies, AI, etc., please think about these people that are not here. Many were not able to join because of visa issues. Others were not able to join because of disability issues or not having an assistant to support them. And it's funding also, so it is limited. We also want to make sure that we have this in the future. I also want to thank my multi-stakeholder committee, because without them, I wouldn't be here. I really want to acknowledge them because they've been working behind the scenes for the events, for the program. The Secretariat has been looking after everyone in terms of, managing everything, streamlining with the team in AuDA. I really am very thankful. One thing that I do want to say is that when we are in this various sessions this week, be intentional, find a way to connect to people, and be a bit more pragmatic and practical when you're talking to them, because many of them face so many challenges. There are people from remote island countries here. There are people from communities that are not connected. So when you're thinking about people in terms of emerging technologies, bring them to the conversation. And like I said, establish that meaningful partnership and meaningful relationship with the people, work together to find the next generation champions, because at some point I am going to also leave and the next generation leaders are going to take over. And please walk up to a person with disability. I know we have Shabir, Ashak, we have a few others here. Go up to them, meet them, and engage with them, include them in your conversations. And lastly, and I think, Cheryl's already mentioned, being respectful and being kind, because we all have our different challenges, like I said before. It is important for us to also rise above petty politics. There's also geopolitics that we have to think about when we come into artificial intelligence, emerging technologies, anything in terms of digital connectivity, just making sure that you show empathy and engage the ones who are very shy. I used to be very, very shy. A tech, you wouldn't believe it, but I was. But as a tech developer, as a software developer, I stayed always behind the scenes, but then it took me a while to get out there. So when you see someone shy, just go up to them, introduce yourself, and just make them feel comfortable. So they are part of this beautiful journey. I hope we can work together to continue the journey of regional and also national IGFs. Many of you are from the national IGFs. We need your support. Listen with humility, and let's find a way to enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy and take care.
Much, Anju. And if I can ask the chairman of AuDA, Mr. Alan Cameron. Thank you very much, Alan. Your opening remarks.
Cheryl was shy once. On behalf of AuDA, the administrator of the dotAU country code top level domain, I'm delighted to welcome you all to Brisbane for the 2023 Asia Pacific Regional Internet Governance Forum. I think Thomas has left, but I do want to thank Thomas as well for that spectacular welcome to country and for sharing his stories with us. I also acknowledge the Yuggera and Turrbal people, the traditional custodians of Mangal, the land on which we meet today, and pay my respects to their elders past and present, and extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. I acknowledge our distinguished guest, Australia's Ambassador for Cyber and Critical Technology, Ambassador Brendan Dowling, from whom we'll hear shortly. Ambassador, we appreciate your taking the time to be with us today. We also welcome the continued cooperation from you and your team at Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. We also welcome our colleagues from the Department of Communications and other less important things, some of whom you may have interacted with at ICANN and other fora. AuDA is a proud champion of the multi-stakeholder model of internet governance, and we're pleased to work in close partnership with the Australian government in this pursuit. We're pleased to embrace this remit by supporting the APR IGF, but also co-locating it alongside NetThing, which we hosted here yesterday, and the Pacific IGF and Youth IGF, both running in parallel to this forum. We welcome participants and organisers from those fora here today. In addition, of course, we're proud supporters of and contributors to ICANN and the Global IGF. These forums are all important parts of maintaining an internet that is open, free, secure, and globally interoperable, and charting a future course for the internet and how it is governed. We at AuDA regard support and advocacy for the multi-stakeholder model as key to protecting the future of the internet. Now, the internet has had a transformative impact on our world, and some of those aspects were discussed in the sessions yesterday, but it's now facing new challenges. The rise of artificial intelligence and machine learning is changing the way we communicate and the way we interact with the internet. The spread of misinformation and disinformation is undermining trust in the internet. In addition, the growing threat of cybercrime is putting our data and privacy at risk. This is something of which AuDA is keenly aware, having had to respond to an alleged cyber incident recently. Now, our comprehensive investigations in response to this incident indicated that the cyber criminals were unsuccessful in accessing our systems or obtaining AuDA data. But the mere fact that it happened provides another timely reminder that we all need to be vigilant to cybersecurity threats. We need to work together to address these significant global digital challenges and ensure that the internet remains a force for good in the world. The APR IGF is an important opportunity for us to do this. Just a few weeks ago, AuDA published an internet governance roadmap in which we set out our high-level contribution to global discussions on the future governance of the internet. The roadmap explores the need for principles to shape the framework of internet governance, goals to connect it to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, improving participation by underrepresented stakeholder groups and regions, greater collaboration among the internet technical community, and the fact that our institutions need to innovate and establish new collaborations to address emerging issues such as AI that today's internet institutions weren't designed to address. Now, many of my colleagues from AuDA and the AuDA board will be on site during the week, and I encourage you all to engage with us and share your thoughts on this topic. Did we get it right? Did we miss anything? Are you interested in joining with us in these calls to action? Whether you agree or have different views, our hope is that you will actively participate in the discussions and share your ideas. Together, we must work to keep the internet open, free, secure, and globally interoperable. Together, we can shape the future of the internet. It's our absolute pleasure to host you here over the next few days. Enjoy the forum.
Thank you very, very much, Alan. And he said, look, 5 minutes, exactly on time. Beautiful work, wonderful job. Let's see how we go with our next very honoured speaker. If I could ask you to come to the stage, Your Excellency, our Ambassador for Cyber Affairs and Critical Technology, Mr. Brendan Dowling, the stage is yours.
A long way around. Look, it's a real honour to be with you all today. I think the importance of this gathering and of the connections that you make, the conversations that you have, is something that's not well understood outside of this community. What we're talking about is the very future of the internet. As Alan has just run through, the global interoperability of the internet that we all depend on for our lives is not something that we can take for granted. The infrastructure that's been built up over many years now, which has proven to work, which has been run by a multi-stakeholder community, by a consensus-based approach to how we operate the infrastructure of the internet, that's something that we enjoy, that we've taken advantage of, but it's not something that's guaranteed to always be part of the future. So these sort of gatherings are crucial, and it's crucial for this region to have a strong voice represented in the global discussions around the future of the internet and how we shape emerging technologies. Australia established the role of an ambassador for cyber affairs in 2016, and the reason for putting that role in place, which was the first of its kind globally, is to make sure that we're putting the way that we use technology, the way that technology is developed, Australia's interests, the region's interests in technology, the internet, other digital issues, putting it at the centre of our foreign policy issues. But it was also about making sure that we had a voice in the global forums, in the commercial markets, in terms of how the technology is developed and used. We see in this region the rate of digitisation, the rate of adoption of new technologies is phenomenal. We are seeing governments digitise their services. We're seeing the penetration of mobile devices through the Asia Pacific at phenomenally high levels, particularly as we see our young people take advantage of technology. With this brings huge opportunities. The economic development opportunities are enormous. The productivity benefits are enormous. The opportunities for social and professional interactions are enormous. But there's also potential huge benefits for a development agenda. The economic development of the Pacific, of the Asia region, will be tied to the future of digitisation. We also look at the benefits that it'll bring for health innovation, the reach of modern innovative health technologies into remote populations is something extraordinary that internet connectivity brings to us. The application of new technologies to solving the climate crisis is potentially our best hope to come at how we deal with the global warming. But with this connectivity has come major risks, and we need to be transparent about these. We need to talk openly about them, and we need to raise awareness amongst all our people about the risks of connectivity. In Australia last year, we saw two of the biggest cyber attacks that we've seen in our history. That brought cybersecurity into the kitchen table conversations of every family in Australia in a real and meaningful way. People saw that their information was compromised. People saw that cyber criminals were targeting them in Australia, operating out of Russia in a way that is very difficult to do anything about. The proliferation of scams, the proliferation of abhorrent online material, whether it's child abuse material, whether it's extremist content, whether it's disinformation, these are real issues that we are living today and that we're all struggling with how we deal with. We can see that nation states are present throughout the region in our critical infrastructure and have the ability to disrupt our services in a way that breaches responsible state behaviour. So all of this says that we need to be very active about how we shape the future of the technologies that we use, how we shape the future of the internet. Otherwise, we will continue some of the downsides that we've seen to date, which is that countries and families, communities, businesses often face a trade-off between security and affordability and functionality. We need technology companies putting security at the heart of the technology that they build and which we use in our communities in a way that you don't have to make a choice between an affordable product or affordable software and a secure piece of software. When we look at the AI revolution, which will affect so many aspects of the way that we live our lives, of the way that we do business, there's a real risk that the deployment of AI tools will entrench the digital divide that we already see today. There's a real risk that the incumbency advantage that goes to the big players that are already dominant in the AI market will continue, and that many countries in our region won't be able to take advantage of many of the benefits that some AI tools will bring. So all of this is to say it's important that we have these types of gatherings. It's important that we are confident in the voice that this region brings into global discussions, in the way that we advocate to technology companies, in the way that we advocate into multilateral institutions. And it's important that we have core principles at the heart of what we promote from this region. Transparency, diversity in the marketplace, competition, security by design and security by default in the products that we use. Nowhere is this more important than internet governance. The multi-stakeholder consensus-based approach to internet governance has worked, and it's given us the internet that we know and mostly love today. There is a real risk that this will be jeopardized as states look to exercise more control over the future of the internet. There is a role for states to play in what is a major piece of global infrastructure. But it's important that we preserve what has worked well when it comes to internet governance, which is that multi-stakeholder approach, which is a consensus-based approach, and which gives a voice to industry, to academia and civil society in how we determine the future of this piece of technology. What's at risk here is the end of global interoperability. It's the end of the internet as we know it. So it's really important that we're bold and confident as we look to the future and shape it in a way that accords with all our interests. So I'm really pleased to be able to spend today and the next few days with you. I'm really excited to hear the perspectives that you all bring. And I think the the victory is in the fact that we're all gathered in this room together and building the connections and building the debate that hopefully sustain us as we tackle this next phase of our internet governance. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. If I could ask Edmon to come to the stage, please. Edmon Chung is CEO of dotAsia and is speaking on behalf of the Secretariat for APR-IGF.
Thank you, Cheryl, and good morning, everyone. Let me start by really thanking our host today, and greatest thanks to the host of the 14th installment of the APR-IGF now. And thanks for bringing us to this beautiful city of Brisbane. And I'd like to show that, you know, we have a room with natural light, which is something that, you know, I hope we all brought you as well. So the pandemic seems to be distant memory by now, but it wasn't so when AuDA was willing to actually propose and host the APR-IGF. So we are very appreciative of AuDA's willingness. And also we would like to really applaud the AuDA team of really taking great care and being able to quickly put this conference together, and the commitment and to make this APR-IGF 2023 possible. So a special thanks to Jordan, Michael, Angela, and many more on the team who worked tirelessly, especially to accommodate our last minute requests, such as what I'm going to report to you right now. So we have we're really happy that we have a total number of registrations of just over 1,000. We have about 450 on-site registrations and about 550 online registrations coming from 68 countries or economies around the world. So, and that includes 15 plus 8, so about 23 fellows from around the region, especially from the Pacific region as well. We will have a total of 34 sessions here today, this week, and a total number of speakers of over 140. So we're very excited to welcome you to this 14th APR-IGF. We're also very tremendously grateful for the continued support from the international internet community, especially from APNIC and the APNIC Foundation, Internet Society and the ISOC Foundation, the IGF Secretariat, as well as ICANN. For their continued support, both in terms of sponsorship and in terms of participation. dotAsia ourselves are very much honored to continue to serve as the Secretariat for the APR-IGF. And our core vision at dotAsia, actually from when we started, was not only just to operate the dotAsia top-level domain, but also to bring together the collaboration among the Asia-Pacific internet community from Asia and for the Asia-Pacific. Last year at APR-IGF 2022, we worked very closely with APNIC, who was our gracious host, to actually bring together the APNIC conference as well as APSIG jointly, the Asia Pacific School of Internet Governance. And not to mention our staple at APR-IGF, which is the YIGF, the Youth IGF component. And this year, we're very excited and that not only the APR-IGF, we also are, because of the support from AuDA and the government of Australia, we're pleased to see that the Pacific IGF and NetThing is also jointly held here alongside APR-IGF, and especially with the coordination from the IGF Secretariat, we, for the first time in the 14 years of APR-IGF, have a parliamentary track that will be overlapping and immediately following the APR-IGF. So I believe this this parliamentary track will be a very important component of the IGF movement into the future. The overarching theme of APR-IGF this year is about emerging technologies. And yesterday at the Youth IGF sessions, the discussions on the topic actually prompted my thoughts. So I want to share with you as well. Just a few years ago, AI governance, data governance, and internet governance were separate spheres. But today, those lines are really blurring. And the intersection of them all at the core, I believe, is the matters of digital rights, privacy, and many more. But more importantly, these are issues that must be tackled beyond borders and national interests. The norms, the codes, the laws across boundaries must work together and not against each other. A global multi-stakeholder internet governance community must come together to work through the differences for one internet unfragmented of the people, for the people and for the users. No single stakeholder, not the technical community, not just the governments, can solve these issues alone. We must work together with the civil society, with the private sector, with legislators, regionally and globally, so that we can push forward the multi-stakeholder model, which we know is not perfect yet. So as we drive towards WSIS plus 20, it is really imperative for us to work together to continue to evolve the multi-stakeholder model. As a prophetic quote from George Orwell actually said, who controls the past controls the future. Here at APRIGF Secretariat at dotAsia, we think we're humbly working to upkeep the record of this multi-stakeholder discussion here at APRIGF, and so that we can have a history that we can build on for the future. Speaking of the dotAsia Secretariat, I want to especially, last but not least, thank my team, Jasmine, especially, who quickly picked up the work from the Secretariat. Jen, who you will see also at the town hall sessions for the synthesis document as well. And of course, Jenna, who helps us coordinate the Youth IGF component. So wish everyone a fruitful meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Edmon. I'd like to welcome Anja. Anja, I do it every time. I do apologies, my apologies. From the IGF Secretariat. You see, these two women keep far too similar names and it gets me muddled every time. Please, a few words from you.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. Excellency Ambassador Dowling, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure to say a few words on behalf of the Internet Governance Forum Secretariat and its head of office on the occasion of the 2023 Asia Pacific Regional Internet Governance Forum. I have to say at the beginning that the organizers of this year's process have set some new standards at what means Carpe Diem, seize the day, just because this is the first time that I'm witnessing that we have three distinct but so interconnected processes hosted in the same week. Thank you very much for tripling our opportunities to learning, knowledge sharing, and networking. I use this opportunity to congratulate on this great achievement the multi-stakeholder steering group of the Asia Pacific Regional IGF, as well as to the multi-stakeholder organizing team of the Pacific IGF, of NetThing, also of the Asia Pacific Youth Regional IGF, for making this wonderful opportunity for all of us to be here. Particularly special gratitude is to dotAU domain administration, AuDA, for making sure that we have wonderful conditions here in beautiful city of Brisbane. And thank you very much for bringing us to Australia. For many years, many of us have been experiencing the talent, knowledge, skills, commitment to multi-stakeholder model coming from people in Australia through cooperating and working with them through the IGF and all the national and regional processes. However, this is the very first time for many of us, I believe, that we can firsthand confirm this at local turf. And it comes with the privilege of experiencing wonderful hospitality in this incredibly beautiful country. In our increasingly interconnected world, effective internet governance holds paramount importance. The internet's pervasive influence is everywhere. We are seeing it in all areas of our education, economies, communication, shaping of public opinion. And along with great opportunities, as many of the colleagues said before me, comes also great harms and risks, also concerns. For example, the spread of disinformation online, cyber attacks, abuse online, fraud, just some of the examples of harm people are experiencing on a daily basis. And this calls for our urgent attention, and action to ensure our online environment is safe and secure, affordable and accessible, and conducive to human rights. And certainly we can't achieve this alone. The rapid development of digital technologies, such as already remarked, the AI is evidently quicker than us, but it does not necessarily have to be. If we apply the multi-stakeholder model and join efforts to have the public sector working with the private sector, with the technical community and civil society as one. And in this doing, we cannot forget the complexity of the world the internet impacts, the opportunities and issues are not the same for all everywhere, which is why we need to empower local mechanisms to understand the issues and globally unite through the multi-stakeholder model, ensuring a collective vision that maintains integrity and inclusivity. And this approach deeply resonates with the achievements of the World Summit on the Information Society, and with that through the IGF. And nothing illustrates best those achievements, just as you, people who are working through the national and regional IGFs to make sure that we translate our concerns and also opportunities we see in digital environment into concrete actions. As we stand on the verge of the WSIS Plus 20 and IGF Plus 20 review coming in 2025, it is critical that we continue building on the foundation of these accomplishments that this community has been cultivating. Many things that you are doing here certainly are incredibly valuable, and they've been done also by more than 160 other national and regional IGFs. But I have to notice that there is something that makes you very special since the very beginning, as you pioneered one of the most remarkable capacity development initiatives and investments in sustainability and bright future of all of us. I speak about your investment in capacity development for young people. Through your programs with the Youth APR IGF, with the NET mission, you are really standing as an example to all of us, including 160 NRIs, in a way to ensure that the next generation of experts and leaders is skilled and knowledgeable to lead us toward a brighter future. The IGF Secretariat is also grateful to you for helping us to implement the IGF 2023 youth track. And just, I believe tomorrow, together with the Youth APR IGF and other youth IGFs, we will be hosting the third workshop of the capacity development series within the track. On the note of the capacity development, as mentioned previously, the investment into capacity development of legislators, those who coin our laws, rules of behavior, which are mandatory, is also critical. The IGF Secretariat has been investing efforts since 2019, when it started working with the government of Germany as our host country, to develop capacity and work together with members of parliaments coming from around the world. I wish to thank the government of Australia, especially the team led by Mr. Ian Sheldon, for helping us to work hard to ensure that the parliamentary track indeed takes place at the APR IGF. The agenda of the APR IGF, just as of the Pacific IGF, of the Youth APR IGF, promises a lot of work in this week. It's a very ambitious one. You're addressing some of the most contemporary but also contentious issues related to global digital policy. And we are certainly looking forward to learning from you and engaging in these discussions. The outcomes you will produce here certainly will be valuable inputs to the 18th annual IGF meeting of the hosted by the government of Japan in Kyoto from 8 to 12 of October. The Internet we want, empowering all people, is the overarching theme of this year's IGF, and we expect thousands and thousands of people together in Kyoto to address through more than 300 sessions various issues on Internet governance that concern us all. With that, I hope that many of you will be joining us in person in Kyoto. If not in person, then alternatively online. And I sincerely wish us exciting, important discussions in the next coming days. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edmon.